Sony's fine as a company.
Are they though? They shut down the
well, there's a lot of things that are bad, but they said they don't know what's best for PC players, and I do.
I don't know who's worse right now, Sony or Microsoft.
Well, it's a good old race to the bottom.
Quick roundup of events first, what happened with the game, and then we'll just discuss our thoughts on it, and if they're going to learn anything from this. So, a couple of days ago, Sony decided that they were going to reinforce the idea that you had to log into the PlayStation Network in order to play Helldivers 2. No choice. If you didn't register and log into their service, you wouldn't be able to play the game. The community immediately responded very negatively, started downvoting the entire game on Steam. Over 160,000 negative reviews in 48 hours. And the game ended up getting pulled from 170 countries. Here's the thing. We don't even know if this was Sony that did it or if it was Valve. There's a possibility that this was actually a decision by Valve because they realized that service is not available in most of those countries. So they would be selling a game effectively that would not be playable. The backlash was so severe, so massive, that within 48 hours, PlayStation came out with an apology, said we don't have to, you won't have to log into the service, you won't have to use it. And the community has already, because this is the Helldivers community and they know how to follow orders, has already restored the positive ratings of the game back to where they were before all of this happened. First lesson to be learned from this: democracy works.
Well, let's. I want to highlight something here. In one of the articles that we were going over pre the recording of this video, it mentioned that Steam was actually refunding players who lost access with over 100 hours of playtime on their account. Now, normally Steam 2-hour hard limit, and they recently closed a loophole for early access stuff. So that's why Steam is Valve and Steam are like, whoa, this is not us. This is not us. Arrowhead very clearly was like, this is not us. And the fact that Sony, in their apology, as it were, they had said, well, we're still learning what's best for PC players. And I'm gonna say that we shouldn't put artificial barriers in. So let's rewind our minds back a little bit, right? To Doom Eternal. Great game. Fantastic game. A lot of murder monkey shenanigans going on. I was playing it on launch day, badly, but playing it nonetheless. Now, the only part of that software that didn't work was the Bethesda.net launcher. Luckily,
of course,
somebody had an idea that we should just skip that, and bam, I got right into the game, and it was fine. And that was the only thing. And I think the reason why the Bethesda.net launcher didn't work is because the Doomslayer is unable to T-pose. He is already dominant.
PlayStation was not required. They keep saying it was a required feature, that you're going to need it. Nothing in the game needs it. There's no reason to...
It's totally one-sided. I mean, that's the thing, is there's nothing in it for the player. There's something in it for Sony because they're collecting your data and they're making new PlayStation accounts and all that stuff. But usually when you have to sign into something like that, like even Ubisoft Plus, you get rewards or you get free stuff in your game or you get cross-save, or there's a lot of different benefits you can get as a player that you sort of expect when you have to sign into something like that. And as far as I know, there was no benefit to creating the PlayStation ID.
That's what they should have done. They should have just been like, hey guys, if you sign up to this service, you get a cool cape with, I don't know, a PlayStation logo on it or something.
Or you get access to, a different variant gun that's not overpowered or whatever.
It looks slightly different. People love free shit. Like, you give people free shit and they will sign up for anything. They will sign away all their personal information if they can get a cool cape.
I want an avatar in game. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. And it's fine. And I think the thing that I want to mention about the Helldivers community is that, by and large, it's been, at least my experience with it, has been a positive experience. I've played a little bit. I've played for a few hours here and there. We got a new season of WoW, so I've been kind of busy. But the point that I'm throwing out there is that for all of these people, these internet nerds who don't know each other, to come together and be like, okay, and major directive, go. And then once it's fixed, all right, and let's retreat, and then it's back, is an amazing thing. And honestly, Arrowhead Studios should every day kiss the ground that they walk on at some level, because that's the type of population that will keep a game going indefinitely. And the fact that the battle passes, while I'm not a huge fan of paid battle passes, whatever, if you've got a population that's that dedicated, you're going to have a pretty good spike in revenue just by trying.
Well, the game trained everyone to work together.
Exactly. There's actually a saying in the community for this. It's we dive together or we don't dive. So it's basically the entire community got behind each other and said, we do not approve of this implementation, and we're going to use our very managed democracy to make our point known and eradicate the clear automaton infiltration that it seems to have invested Sony, and now that they've eradicated.
But freedom doesn't come free.
No! Sweet liberty! No!
If Sony had any let's say wherewithal, they would have put out their apology like that, because then you play into the joke. You essentially wipe out any, you turn what was a problem, which was a problem. I want to make it very clear, problem. But you take that and you kind of take the edge off, and it's like, okay, we've learned our mistakes. We're sorry. Hey, we're playing with you guys too. Let's be cool.
They didn't, but at least the Helldivers developers did. They basically saw an image of how the reviews became overwhelmingly negative on Steam, and it makes these three red lines that kind of go slightly smaller every day, and it basically just looks like a really cool cape. So now everybody wants the scales of the reviews to become its own cape. So first we survived Malevolent Creek, and now we survived the Sony infestation. That needs to become a cape in game to show that this is an experience.
If you create a PlayStation ID.
If you make a PlayStation ID, that's the cape that you get.
You get the review bomb cape.
You get to literally see a company hang an albatross around its neck.
Right.
As a joke. And is there anything better than sarcastic good? Look, I mean really, it's just like
the question is, though, do you think they learned anything from this?
I think the question is, what, companies like that have a tendency to learn the wrong thing. So what's the wrong thing they're going to learn from this? Because they always
implemented day one.
Yeah. Well, that's the right thing. But what they're going to do with this information, who knows?
Ghost of Tsushima is coming out soon on PC, and it has a single player and a multiplayer mode. So basically, Sucker Punch has been doing damage control on social media on the wasteland we call Twitter. And they've basically been saying you won't need to use the PlayStation login for single player. So they're already saying straight off the bat, if you want to play the multiplayer in Ghost of Tsushima, you can't unless you log into use your PlayStation account. And there's either two ways this is going to go. People will either reluctantly do it, or the Ghost of Tsushima multiplayer will just die on PC day one.
So my question, and I guess this is what is the big concern, is one of the reasons why I like to play on PC is I don't have an extra cost. So I pay for my games, I pay for my computer, I pay for the online, the internet, right? If I play on a console, I also have to pay, I don't know, like $60 to $120 a year, something like that, to connect. If I wanted to, let's hypothetically say, do Ghost of Tsushima multiplayer through a PlayStation account, would I have to have a paid account to do so? Because
thank God, you don't have to have a paid account.
Because that's the lesson that I think they're going to learn. The bad lesson is, okay,
we got to charge them. I just want to point out that if ever there was a multiplayer mode that was worth taking the time to sign up for an account for, it's Ghost of Tsushima. The multiplayer is so underrated. It is amazing. It's 4-player co-op, it's PvE, and it's awesome.
I'm going to close with I like the fact that Arrowhead Studios created a wonderful product in the name of, Helldivers 2. I like the fact that the community came together. I like the fact that Sony, at least temporarily, has relented. I would like to speak for the people who enjoy Souls games and be like, Sony, Bloodborne port. Do it. Just do it. Do it, and get a day of positive press. Because the Souls community is nothing if not insistent. And we definitely would be like, oh, hey, way to finally do that for a game that released in 2015. Now, I do have to give some credit. It took Persona 4 Golden 12 years to come to Steam, so we're on track.
I feel like everything turned out the way it should. Like, this should have never happened, but once it did happen, this was the best possible scenario.
100%. We dive together or we don't dive. I think that's the best lesson we can learn from this. And people constantly say that reacting to stuff in this industry doesn't work, that consumer investment doesn't work. Clearly fucking does.
At least in some instances.
If the outcry is enough to actually affect their bottom line, if their game is getting banned in 170 countries and hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of dollars is being refunded by an entire platform who says you're breaking the law, so we're going to give people their money back. That tends to
Valve
speak.
is refunding it, but I'm assuming Sony is paying for those refunds.
Yeah, well, they have to.
Valve's
Yes, they do have to pay it back.
They no longer have to. But here's the question I would like to know: is who pulled the trigger on that change, and are they still employed? Because well, there's a lot of layoffs that happen to in the game industry, and most of them are undeserved. But that one seems like you got a prime candidate for somebody.
The people who make those decisions don't get laid off. The people who suffer from those decisions, they're the ones that get laid off.
It's true. That person may have what's known as a golden parachute. Now, I'm not going to say that they're pissing on gamers, but I would like to give them some type of I don't know. You use your own imagination there. I just want them to not make decisions because unlike the executive class, unlike, let's say, Coke, right? Like if you have a Coca-Cola just has to work. It just has to be drinkable. Games have to be fun in addition to work. That's why we have so many, let's say, mediocre products. And I'm not down on the devs. It's just that when you add artificial barriers, you make things worse.
Speaking of people who are still employed and laying people off and not having to deal with the repercussions of their actions, this is an amazing segue, but it's not going to matter because it's going to be two separate videos.
I set that up intentionally.
Yeah.
The problem is it's going to be two separate videos, but that is brilliant. Microsoft.
If you want to see the rest, check out video 2.
Hey there, folks. I know nobody wants to listen to a creator shill themselves for 90 seconds, so I'm not going to. If you enjoyed this, we do the show live every Sunday on Twitch at 6 p.m. BST. Feel free to pop over TNEQL. And if you would like to support us in making the channel bigger and helping it grow, you can also check us out on Patreon, also at TNEQL. Take care of yourselves. Stay beautiful.